Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond Boxes. This is a podcast episode, so you can listen to it wherever you listen to your podcasts, or you can watch the full episode at youtube.com/Beyond Boxes. Today, I am super excited to be joined by Chris Pierce. So, welcome, Chris.
Welcome me. Hey, how are y'all? I am Chris Pierce, a musician here on Beyond Boxes, and I am excited.
I am super excited to have you on board. And before we get going, Chris, can you tell us which labels, if any, you identify with?
So I'm glad you said if any, because there's for a long time, I didn't even put like emphasis on labels, especially in my life, because it was very hard to just enjoy life with a label on me. However, now I really just don't care because I'm living my movie. You know what I mean? So I am a gay, Black, African American male here in America. I go by boy, him, he, but I don't have a problem with anybody calling me she. Like literally call me whatever you want. However, off my personal preference, I identify as a boy.
Thank you very much for that. And so Chris and I met through social media. We connected, I think it was originally through TikTok, though we're also linked on Instagram now. And I saw on my For You page a video where you were calling out to sort of all queer people, all, non-binary women, everyone basically. And you're like, if this is you, stop and listen. This is my new track. And I'm struggling as a queer Black man in the music industry, as a gay Black man in the music industry. You were saying, tell me a little bit more about, let's start with, tell me a bit more about your struggles.
Honestly, it was just more of I haven't even gotten really into the music industry as much as I want to. However, it's at the point where I realize I'm getting there. It's like I'm really just getting there. So it's so exciting. However, it's a thing that I'm very upset about in my personal life. I feel like here in Florida, a lot of artists are rappers. They're anything hip hop or R&B, and I'm a gay Black boy jumping around stage singing pop music. So it was like I really just wanted people to give me a chance. However, nobody was really giving me a chance. So I was like, why not turn to TikTok or something? So I turned to TikTok and I was like, you know what? If you're anything but a straight man right now, if you could just check this song out for me and tell me what you think, then things will be good. That song, that post took my song from over 2,000 plays to now 22,000 plays. So it was like there's power in the community. However, I just didn't ask for it and I didn't know what to do. And I just took a chance and it worked. Music is probably a very, very important thing in my life. I could say very cheesy, but I could say it saved my life because I just really love it. It's something that keeps me grounded, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I really hear that. And first of all, congrats on getting over 20,000 listens. That's fantastic. And it's really wonderful to hear some of the positive experiences of social media, of apps like TikTok, because we hear a lot of negative things about those as well. But to hear that, it really helped you. And so when I saw that, I immediately wanted to help. And so I sort of posted your song on my platform and I got in touch and I said, hey, do you want to do this interview? And you seemed really keen. So I'm curious, what was it that made you interested in doing this Beyond Boxes interview?
Okay, so the first thing I would say would probably be, of course, it was going to be my first interview. So it was like, Chris, like somebody actually wants to sit and talk to you like for a couple minutes, hour, who knows? And I was like, yeah, hell yeah, that'd be freaking fun. However, I do have a lot of friends, and you can ask any of them. We just love to sit and talk about things. More so things that make people uncomfortable and aren't like the general conversation. And so when I was talking to you and I looked, before I even looked, I agreed. So it was based off the energy thing. But I saw that you like to also think about things that are uncomfortable, things that people don't want to talk about, things that people don't discuss and see as an issue, but don't want to do anything about the issue. But you are somebody who wanted to speak about the issue and actually bring light to it because, in turn, being social about something, having a conversation about a problem makes the problem known to everybody else. And so I was like, yeah, beyond the boxes, she's talking beyond what's happening. So of course I'm going to talk to her. She's basically a friend of mine at this point because me and my friends do the same thing.
Ah, that's great to hear. And yeah, that's really for me the core of what I want to be doing is having those conversations, going beyond the boxes that society tries to fit us in. And, and weighing up the pros and cons of using labels. And it's
Mhm.
interesting because you say this is your first interview, but I know there's another first, which you mentioned to me last time, which is when I asked you about your labels and you told me you identify as a gay Black man. But I believe tell me a bit about your coming out story.
Okay, so I don't have a coming out story, which is very, very weird. However, it was like growing up, I never cared to come out. It was more of a safety thing, to be honest, just to be more like personal. I was not comfortable, not with myself, but people weren't comfortable with me being who I was. So it was more so of a, Chris, you have to hide yourself right now in order to keep yourself safe. And for a long time, I was scared. Like for a very long time, I just didn't want to say I was gay out loud. I didn't want anybody to know that I was. But from looking at me, you knew that Chris Pierce was gay. Walking in the school hallways, you knew. Walking into the lunchroom, you knew. Walking into home, you knew. However, it seemed like at home, a lot of people wanted to take it out of me. And so I just didn't want to say anything about it. However, once I got to college, it was like I realized my life is my life. Of course, you have parents, you have family members, you may have people who don't agree with it. But at the end of the day, I wanted to live my life happy and I didn't want to like live life sad and in a box, as we can put it. And I got to college and it was like I started meeting more people who are more accepting of it. I started meeting people who are living in their truths and actually loving their lives because they were just living because they simply just wanted to live. So I was like, Chris, why are you hiding yourself? Like, why are you not going out doing what you want to do? Why are you not dressing how you want to dress? Why are you not talking how you want to talk? You know what I mean? And so I was just like, I'm just gonna live how I want. And just recently, really, it was the first time I ever came out of my mouth and someone asked me, like, what's your sexuality? And I was just like, I'm gay. And I had like a long pause. It was really like a whole movie scene. I was looking at her and I just stared like, you know, I'm gay. And oh my God, like I'm gay. Like seriously, like 100%. Like there's no going back. The path is straight. I'm 100% just a gay man. And this is probably the first time a lot of people are going to see this and, oh, Chris is gay. Yeah. Hey, I'm gay.
Well, welcome to the other side, to the queers. We're great. It's fantastic over here. It's all rainbows and unicorns, as everyone knows. And so you mentioned that like you never really came out to your family, but it was kind of a known thing. And it was in college that you really started embracing who you are. And then
Mhm.
just recently that you started even using the term gay, but it sounds like this wasn't so much about using the label as it was just coming to terms with it in yourself.
Yes. Mhm.
And so tell me a bit more about your relationship with your family and how they are with your sexuality before. Are you out to them or do they kind of just know? Or tell me a bit about that dynamic.
Honestly, I feel like it's at a point where they honestly just know because I just felt like I never owed anybody anything. You know, I never chose to come into this life. I never chose to come into this world. It's like I was brought into this world. So I wanted my family to just understand that it wasn't my choice to come into this world. You brought me here. So you don't have to understand what I'm doing. You just have to show support and love me because I'm your child. But there's many, many, many instances growing up where it was just like I always felt like the oddball out. And it wasn't because I was making myself feel odd. It was just everyone around me made me feel like I was just so different and I just didn't really belong. As of right now, our relationships are good. I talk to my mom all the time. You know, she's coming around. We're all at a point where it's not an issue. And I know there's obviously going to be, hold on, let's start over. I know there's obviously going to be points where it's just like there's maybe a disagreement or there's some points where we just don't see eye to eye. However, that is my family, so it's like I do love them. And a big thing I could say that really does play a part in that is religion. Oh my goodness. Religion plays a very big part. And I know we're going to talk about that, so I'm not going to go into it right now. However, my relationship with my family, I would say it was bittersweet. However, it's becoming more of a sweet thing to me because now they're starting to treat me how I want to be treated because I treat them how they want to be treated.
That's really beautiful. And I think something that's really resonating in what you're saying, it's like you didn't choose to be in this world, you didn't choose to be gay, but you are here and you are who you are. And I mean that in the broad sense, right? You're not just a gay black man, you
Right.
are everything Chris Pierce is. You're a musician, you're a gay black man, you're a million and one other wonderful things. And
Mhm.
it sounds like, yeah, for you, it was just like, I didn't choose any of this, but I'm going to be who I am and live my life to the fullest. And people are either going to accept me or they're not. And it's kind of their problem and not yours. And I really like
100%.
that philosophy.
100%. I had this conversation with my friends. Again, great conversations. I've had friends that I've met that weren't friends before, obviously, and I was talking to them, and we would have a conversation about like how people judge them and how they look at other people, and they don't want people to see them as a certain type of person. But I used to say like at the end of the day, like who who cares? It's your life. We're all gonna die one day. We all have the same thing in common. We come in this world and then one day we're just gonna go. So why not live your life to the fullest? Like I really do see my life as a movie. And as of right now, I really see it as a movie. Like I'm right now feeling like Hannah Montana because I feel like for a long time I played two different personalities. Even though it wasn't an intentional thing. It was more so, again, a safety thing. Like at school, I was in the arts. I was having fun. I would be able to do what I want. But back at home, it was always, I felt like I had to stay in my room all day because I just felt safe in my room. I felt safe being around myself. And so a lot of my friends have in turn came out of their shells. Let me say it again. A lot of my friends have come out of their shells. I met this one girl, her name is Mariah. She was super shy when she came to this school. She was a transfer here to the university, and she was sitting by herself. I walked up to her. Mind you, we were all getting drunk. And I was like, hey, it's nice to meet you. And we, in turn, from that time, became some of the best friends. And she's so confident now. She lives everything to the fullest. Because again, life is a movie. Like, why would you want your movie to be depressing? Why would you want to be bullied? Like, that's not cool. Like, just ignore people.
And I like what you're saying about the element, you don't choose the life you're given and you don't choose life necessarily, but you can choose what you do with your life and you can choose your approach to life and your outlook on life. And it sounds like you have one. So that's really wonderful to hear.
I really do, at this point, love life. I hated it for a long time. Really did hate it. It was at the point where it was just like, not to get too personal or sound too deep, let's keep it PG-13. I really just did not want to be here. Like, not on anything like I'm gonna go do something bad. However, I was at that point where it was like, I just really don't want to be here. But once something like snapped in my head, like, why do you care? Like, who cares what someone's gonna call you? Who cares if someone's as long as no one physically touches me, and I know that's an issue for a lot of our community that they get physically harmed. As long as no one physically touches me, you can't really come into my face and like insult me and I really care because I don't believe that. It's again my life. It's my movie. If you're calling me ugly and I don't think I'm ugly, how do you that's not gonna affect me. If you're calling me gay as an insult and I'm gay, it's not gonna affect me because I know I'm gay. So it's like, what's the problem? If people just mind their business and stop talking to everybody like treat people how you want to be treated, then everything will be so much fine. Like, who
Yeah.
cares? It's life.
So earlier you mentioned religion.
Mhm,
And it's interesting as well because you're talking about this element of choice and not choice. And
mhm,
so tell me a bit more about your relationship with religion. I know your family's quite religious,
mhm.
and I believe that you also are religious. So tell me a bit about that.
I myself like to believe that I am a Christian. I do identify as a Christian. However, in the Christian community, there's some toxic things like homosexuality is a big thing in the community that they just a lot of them can't just get around or talk about, even though many times with research it has been denounced that it's not the original text, that's not how it was. They're just so stuck in that mentality, like that this is wrong, it's completely wrong, that they just can't let it go. However, with me, I just don't believe that a person would make me and put me on this world for me to be miserable and to hate myself. Like, you made me and you know how my life is going to go and how it turns out. It's very much believed that God makes everything and the path that we have, he makes that also. So if my path was made like this, why why would it be miserable? I don't think anybody would ever make me this way and in turn make everybody treat me that way. So I think I have my own relationship with my religion. You know what I mean? God is somebody that I see as happiness, excitement, prosperity, success. He's just someone who sees the better in people and also wants people to also support him. So of course, I love my religion. However, I have my own views on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is that you believe in God and you
Mhm.
believe God made you just the way you're meant to be. And your issue, you have no issues with God, but your issue is the way religion has kind of distorted the message, the original message of God.
Mhm.
And it seems insane, this idea that homosexuality is a sin, because like you say, it's not something you choose, and God made you just the way you're meant to be. So
Yeah,
yeah, if you believe in God, it sounds like you can't. If you believe in God and you believe God made everyone in his image and the way they're meant to be, then how can you then say that a whole section of the population is wrong? Did God make a
exactly.
mistake? Like, I mean, I personally am not religious, right? But I really respect other people's views and I really respect religion, but then you have to make your mind up. It's either you believe in God and you
Exactly.
believe everyone's perfect and made in his image, or you don't. But saying I believe in God, but homosexuality is a sin and everyone who's homosexual is wrong doesn't really make sense to me.
It just doesn't make sense, and it's so weird because before we even had this interview yesterday, I literally got into an argument with someone who's homophobic, and it was on this big like panel thing with so many people in there, and it was just he was on the panel and he was just like, I just don't like gay people, you know, I don't like them. My religion just doesn't believe that, like it's just not cool. And so I, in turn, you know, raised my hand to get on the panel because I had something to say. It was like, sir, what is your problem? Like, you're over here living your life with hatred and with your religion, it's supposed to be love, you know, kindness, just all around, just love in general. Like, you should be showing people your religion is good and your God believes in all this stuff. However, you're on this app and you're spreading hate. That doesn't make your religion look good. That doesn't make the person that you believe in look good. So that was my thing for like my family and other people that I knew. It was like we go to church, yeah, we preach these messages about how God loves everyone and he loves all his children and he's going to be there for you. However, his people aren't there for the people who are being marginalized. So how does that, it's like math. If 2 plus 2 is 4, why is it that I'm adding love and God and getting hate? That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that parallel. And so was that on in a religious group online or was that in a
No, it was just it's a group. It's an app where we just really just go on social. You know how you have Instagram Live? It's the same thing. However, it's more of a live stream.
So tell me a little bit more about some of the other discriminations you faced. So it sounds like within the religious community, you sometimes face a discrimination. And yeah, what, as a gay Black man, I guess you've experienced both homophobia and racism, sometimes homophobia in the Black community, perhaps, and racism in the queer community. And all of the above from other people. So tell me a little bit about some of the discrimination you face on a day to day.
The weirdest thing, or the probably the most overlooked thing I would say is, especially in the Black community, a lot of their arguments is being a gay Black man makes you weak. And I, in turn, do not believe I'm weak. I definitely be, I'm very intelligent. I may not be like physically strong because the gym is just not for me. However, I could fight for myself if I need to, whether it be words or whether it be physical. It's like you're not going to treat me bad in this lifetime because I only get one. So why would I in turn let you treat me like that? Discrimination, especially in the Black community, is a big thing. And slowly, I believe that it's becoming less of an issue, especially with Black women. I feel like they're definitely coming around. They're seeing like there's really no issues with these people at this point. Like, a lot of the straight people see us as wannabe girls, but if we're wannabe girls, why can't we just be your homegirls? You know what I mean? There's no point in you just hating on me. I have no issue with you. I don't say anything to the Black community. We're a marginalized group already. So for you to be facing discrimination in this world and then also want to put discrimination on another group, that just doesn't make sense. You're already going through a struggle, and we're going through a struggle, especially being on gay and Black. Oh goodness, you couldn't even imagine. It's horrible. But no, again, I don't really face that much discrimination again because I don't see it that way. It's like I don't care. I really just at this point I'm living in the now. I'm anticipating the future, obviously. However, I'm living in the now. I'm enjoying my life because again, I'm not going to have it soon. You never know when your last day is going to be. And so I'm trying my best to just stay happy. I listen to a lot of pop music. I listen to R&B and, slow music too. However, I just like to listen to stuff that makes me want to dance. I love to just get up and dance and just enjoy where I am. And so the discrimination, it may be there, but at this point, it's going unnoticed because I just turn the other cheek at this point. I just don't care.
And it's interesting that you talk about music as part of your journey for in finding joy and in, not letting things impact you. It sounds like it's a really good release for you
Mhm.
when the world gets a bit much, that you turn to music as your kind of escape. So tell me a bit more about your relationship with music, because obviously you're a musician, and I really hope to play some of your music at the end of this as well.
Of
Um,
course.
Tell me how you got into music and how that's helped you in your life.
Okay, so music. I've been in the choir, the school choir, since a very young age. My dad also was a singer, so it was like he loved to sing. However, me, it was like it was always music, period. Like I don't care to do anything else. When I was going to college, it was like I'm gonna be a lawyer, which made no sense. But that was what my parents told me I could be. Like, you could be a great lawyer, you like to debate, you like to argue. And I just didn't want to go to school to learn music because it was something that was already in my life. It was my lifestyle. So I started last year. It was a song called Breathe. And I wrote that after Black Lives Matter protest. And I just felt like really inspired. I saw all these people coming out to fight for something that they believed in. And the song was in turn that the song explained that I just felt like if I got high, metaphorically, everything will be okay. Because a lot of people, when they get high, they just feel relaxed and they just feel like, okay, I can just breathe. And I feel like a lot of people forget that they need to breathe when things are going down. I used to have like panic attacks. I used to get real anxious, but then it was just like, Chris, you just need to breathe. Just calm down. You can assess the situation after you understand what's going on. And at the protests, there was, I think they were shooting tear gas things. They were shooting a lot. So it was just like a lot of people were running. There was no time to breathe. There was no time to calm down. And then once you actually get to a point where you can breathe, there's still stuff going down. So it was like, calm down, just be okay. But I started a year ago, and then I still, because of who I was, because of how I grew up, because of how I was treated, I never believed my voice was good enough. I released like 2 other songs after that, then I released the EP, and I still did not believe that it was good enough. It was like, "Okay, I'm releasing music, I'm doing all of this, but I don't think anybody cares." Even though you have people telling you like, this is good," until I believed that it was good, it wasn't gonna be good enough.
Mm.
And then I dropped Karma, and that was the song that you heard in the video when I was calling the troops at this point. And that song, I was ready to give up on because it was at one 900 plays at the time. I was like, you know what? Like, this is not going to happen. I see all these other people around me doing good, all these straight men, all these straight people just doing amazing. And I always see like LGBTQIA artists down my timeline not getting, appreciation. So we were at my music video shoot, well, practice before it. And I was like, you know what? Let me make a TikTok. I'm enraged at this point because why am I not getting attention? Because the song is not bad. It's a great song. So after I made that TikTok and everybody started supporting me, it was like, oh my God, like, okay, okay, Chris, you made good music. So at this point, you could definitely do it. So now I'm like full headstrong going for it. There's nothing I don't want to do. This school, honestly, F school at this point, I might just use my degree in the future. However, the way I'm seeing it is I am going to be a legend. My friends told me, like, Chris, your legend status is loading. And I always say that in my head, like, I'm going to be so powerful because I like to talk and conversations lead to you getting connections. And I want to help as many people just like me to get into this industry because it's so washed with straight people. Like there's so many straight people just talking about music, loving music. We have a lot of LGBTQIA people out here who are also so talented, but we can't get into the door because we're gay, because we're lesbian, because we don't identify. It just doesn't make any sense. If you're allowed to have fun, why can't we have fun also? So, music to me is another way of a family. You know what I mean? I didn't grow up with a family who was obviously supportive, who I could turn to and talk to. So, with my music, I've dropped messages, and a lot of people have been able to connect to it because they can also in experience it through my music because they've been through the same thing. So with me, I think music would definitely be my second chance, if I can call it that.
Nice. There's a lot in what you've just said that I've picked up on. When you were talking about Breathe as your first single and the reason you released it last year, I think Breathe was such a theme last year between George
Mhm,
Floyd, the Black Lives Matter protests, the COVID pandemic, which was impacting people's
mhm,
lungs and their ability to breathe, and just the anxiety, like worldwide, which, as you say, that kind of anxiety, and you get stress and people hyperventilate and they can't breathe. And it's just that idea that, yeah, that's such a powerful message. And I really like what you're saying about, dropping messages in your music. Your music, it isn't just about making a nice tune. You have messages, you have things you want to say, and that's a way you can say it. And
right,
it's heartbreaking hearing what you're saying about feeling like, the LGBTQIA plus community not having a fair shot in music. But I also, what I'm aware of when I was thinking about this is that it's particularly, you know, gay Black men, you don't see very much of. Like, other than Lil
yes,
Nas, I don't know, none come to mind. Whereas actually, I know quite a few gay white men in the music
yeah,
industry. But as a,
mhm,
so again, this kind of intersectionality comes into play. It's not just about being queer, it's about being queer and Black, because Black men in the music industry are, like you mentioned earlier, associated with hip hop and rap, and it's all very sort of like toxic masculinity and
mhm,
women and fast cars and that kind of thing. And if that's not what you're into, then it makes it so much more difficult. So I love what you're saying about finding community and family in the music industry and just going for it. And that through things like TikTok and social media, you've felt inspired and regained confidence in yourself to be like, you know, I'm just as deserving of this as anybody else, and I'm going to make this happen. So that's a really positive message to hear.
A lot of people have been talking to me, especially there's been multiple gay Black men who will talk to me now, and they're just like talented, so talented. They make great music. However, it's just they don't have the the mentality to go for it. Me, I feel like I'm definitely in that space right now where I've told myself, not even told myself, I've realized that I've said I'm made for this at this point. Like I'm at the point where nobody can affect me. My life is my life. If I have an issue, I can deal with my issue internally. It's me. It's my life. If anything comes up, it's me. So it's like I'm really prepared for this. I know a lot of these people go into this industry and it's a jump start. Like they jump right in and there's a lot coming at them. However, me, I'm ready for the cameras. I'm ready for the glitz and glam. I'm ready for the paparazzi. I'm extremely ready for all of it. I'm ready for the hatred because, again, I don't care. And someone told me once, like, you make carefree music, like, you just don't care. You love your life. You sound like you're having the time of your life. And I am. I went to go shoot my music video not too long ago, and we had to film at the beach in front of everybody. And we did like a whole flash mob. By the time this comes out, I'm pretty sure the flash mob will be out. But we did a flash mob for the music video. And it was just like, okay, guys, let's do this. And we jumped in the middle of the street and just started doing it. But to connect back to what I was saying, there's a lot of gay Black men who have messaged me and told me, like, Chris, you are literally inspiring me. Like, you're going for it. You're showing that there's somebody like me that can do this. So I need you to keep going. So it's like I'm doing it for me. However, I've always said I'm doing this for my friends and the people who support me also because I have a lot of people who also want to do this thing, but they can't do it without seeing that somebody else like them could also make it in with the hard work. So I can't stop at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you're just proving the point that representation matters. And when
Mhm.
you're the first or in the first few, it's so much more difficult. And something you're saying, which, you know, really brings to mind, I had a conversation today. So I lead workshops on power, privilege, and prejudice, which is a
Mhm.
lot about becoming conscious of the systems in play in society, which, you know, perpetuate racism and sexism. And these systems aren't accidental. They were put in place on purpose to make some people feel inferior and to
Mhm.
make other people feel superior. And so often, if we're not aware of those systems, then we internalize those messages. And it's really easy, you know, I'm a queer disabled woman of color. And so constantly I'm treated in society as if I'm lesser than, as if I'm inferior. And if I don't understand that their systems put in place to try and make me feel that way, then I will believe I'm actually worth less than someone else. And that is so not true. I am an
Mhm.
excellent human being and I am worth
Mhm.
just as much as any other human being. And
Yes.
so, but when we do internalize those messages, you know, it makes me wonder about, is there less gay Black men in the music industry because they've internalized those messages? And it's kind of becomes a catch-22 where it perpetuates itself, right? So
Mhm.
they feel like they're not good enough, there's no role models, there's no one doing the same thing, and so they don't break into the music industry. And then the
Mhm.
music industry doesn't want to take a risk because they're like, well, these people, it doesn't work, and it becomes this sort of ongoing catch-22. And another big thing in the workshops I do is, yes, I'm a queer disabled woman of color, but I, just like you're saying, you know, I don't identify as a victim. And it's like, and I also recognize the privileges I have. I'm a cisgendered woman. I'm a very light skinned woman. I come from sort of a middle class background. I have, you know, a lot of privilege as well as a lot of systemic disadvantages.
Mhm.
And so that leads me to my question. Is there a way that you, as a, you know, you've talked about doing this for other people as well, but is there a way that you feel that you're an ally to marginalized groups that either you're not a part of or
Right.
groups that have more intersections of oppression than you do?
I just feel like a lot of things are happening for a reason. Because yesterday, I have another story. Yesterday, I have this friend. Her name is Kaya. Beautiful trans woman. That is my bitch. Can I cuss? Can I cuss? Can I
You
say
can
that?
cuss.
That is my bitch. Like, that is my bitch. I love her to the ends. And we have our arguments, we have our disagreements, but at the end of the day, I have her back because I know there's so much that she's going through as a trans woman, especially transitioning. It's like you have to go through hormones, you have to get surgeries, you have to go through people just judging you because of who you are. There was the boy yesterday, and he was calling her out of what she wanted to be called. He was calling her a boy. He was saying she was a man. And it was just like, of course, she's going to argue for herself. But if other people don't see that it's a problem with everyone around, then it's just going to be like, oh, he's picking on someone that's transgender. Like, oh, well, like it'll be over soon or just push it to the side. But the thing that made me happy about yesterday was that it wasn't just me that was speaking. It was like 60, 70 people in the room. I was speaking, and it was probably around like 20, 30% of the other people that were speaking in the chat. Like, that's not right. You know, you shouldn't be saying that. And me, I feel like I'm definitely an ally. Oh, 100%. I definitely have their back. Anybody in the LGBTQIA, I just know that there's so much stuff that we're going through behind closed doors that nobody knows about. And we can all relate on some type of foot. So of course I'm going to say something because I know what you've done or what you've been through to get to this point. So it's like I have her back. That person right there, that's probably the biggest marginalized person that I would say that I definitely have their back. I'm definitely an ally for them because that's my bitch. Again, yeah, that's my bitch. Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's great what you're saying about, the full LGBTQIA plus community. And so often, like, it's so sad when you see people who already are oppressed in society, are part of a marginalized group, and then that they just want to be included in mainstream. And to do that, they're
Mhm.
like marginalizing other people. It's like, no, if we want an inclusive society, we need to include everyone. And it sounds like, and that's why it's so sad when you see like sort of racism in the queer community or homophobia in the Black community. It's like or like racism in feminism or
Yes.
turfs or anything. It's like, what it's like to be marginalized and oppressed and excluded and discriminated against. Why would you do the same to someone else?
Why would you just I will never understand that argument. Like, okay, religion, it was something thrown at me. Like, okay, I can get why you're having the argument. However, at the end of the day, it's still never gonna add up to me. Other than that, there's literally no reason. Like, I remember some boy was literally like a Black African American man. I just hate them because I hate them. No, that just no, that you have to have a reason. There has to be a reason, but there's never a reason. So you're just trying to be cool at this point. The way I'm looking at it, you just want to fit in with everybody else. And I said this to someone yesterday also. You didn't say religion was a problem, but you are a Christian. So you want to sit and be cool with the other Christians and have the same mentality as them, even though you don't feel that way. That's very annoying. I hate it.
Well, on that note, do you have any tips for people listening who want to be better allies, whether that's being allies to musicians like you, whether that's being like queer musicians, queer Black musicians, whether that's being allies to other people? You say you identify as an ally, but you also are someone who has been marginalized. So any tips to our listeners and viewers?
I would say two things. The first thing would be show support. There's a lot of people out here who, rather it be something in the arts or it be something like an actual just regular job, like people want to be like a lawyer, people want to do stuff like that. Show support to these people because the little ounce of support, even liking someone's post or leaving a comment like this is amazing, will go a long way. Because especially me being a gay Black man, again, growing up, I just felt like I was not good enough. So going into my adult life, it was like, geez, like I'm grown now. Like there's no looking cute and trying to get people to get me with sympathy and stuff. It's like either you're gonna respect me or it's disrespect at this point. So again, just show support. The little ounce of support will help them. Second thing, speak up. A lot of people sit here and they watch their friends go through stuff like this, and this can be taken in two senses. Speak up, as in check up on your friends, talk to them, ask them if they're doing okay. Knowing that we're in this community, you know there's stuff that's going on. Marginalized groups, there's always going to be something that's bothering somebody because we live in a society where it's looked down upon. So it's like, please, just are you okay? Are you good? You know, how you been? Have a conversation. Second thing, I mean, the second sense of it, speak up when something is happening. If somebody is doing something to your friend and you say you're an ally and you don't have an issue with it, you have an issue with it by not saying something when there's a problem. There's many times where someone can be homophobic. I've seen many people be homophobic, and then they'll go back into this other conversation with their friend. My friend will go back into a conversation with their friends and they'll just say, you know, I'm not homophobic. I'm not homophobic. I just didn't say anything. That's the problem. There's a lot of things going down. And if you don't say something, a lot of people around you aren't going to say something and they're going to think it's okay to just let the thing happen. If you continue to speak, then the problem goes away, or it at least lessens until it does go away.
Yeah, show by example, take action. There's no
Yeah.
point being a performative ally and saying, "Oh, I'm not homophobic, I'm not racist," if you don't do anything when you notice, and it's in the same way that I talked about earlier, like it's so much easier, I think, when you do have privilege to be an ally, right? So it's
Mhm.
easier when you're white to be anti-racist, or to talk about anti-racism. Maybe it's not easier to
Yeah.
be anti-racist, but it's easier to talk about anti-racism. It's easier when you're a man to talk about feminism and women's issues. It's easier when you're cisgendered to talk about trans issues because you're
Yes.
not holding that trauma in you. And you know that again if you're marginalized, because if you're black, you know how hard it is to talk about racism with white people. If you're a
Yeah.
woman, you know how hard it is to talk about women's issues with straight people, with men. If you're, gay or bi or pan or queer in some way, you know how hard it is to talk about those with straight and cisgendered people.
Right.
So if you know how hard it is, then use your privilege to help other people and be allies. So it's a no-brainer to me, but
No, no brainer to me. To be quite honest, 100%.
Well, I think we're coming to the end here, Chris. So, for people who are going to love you, and want to know more about you and want to listen to your music and want to follow you, where can they do that?
Okay, so I had to make sure I made all my socials the same thing. I was thinking a long time, what should I make it? I tried to find Chris Pierce, but somebody already has the name. And to my expense, he's also a music artist. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube and everything else on at Parts of Chris. Parts of Chris because I just feel like there's so many parts of my life, especially my labels and music and dancing. So it's like I have a lot of parts of my life that I just want to document, I guess. So at Parts of Chris. And then on Snapchat, it's Chris.smurf if you use that. But that's about it.
Brilliant.
And then Chris Pierce on any streaming platform if you want to listen to the music.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much for listening, everyone. This has been Beyond Boxes. If you want to find out more about me and my work, my name is Jaya Bristow, and you can head to my website, jayabristow.com, JAIABRISTOW.com. And there you can find out about my YouTube channel, my podcast, and the workshops I do. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.